For the second year in a row, the UFC is celebrating Independence Day for Mexico in the form of Noche UFC. Now, not only is there Noche UFC going down, but also the big Canelo and Crawford fight going down. But obviously, the UFC kind of invested in that with the whole TKO boxing, spearheading the Canelo fight. So I don't think there will be a whole lot of crossover, at least once Canelo takes the stage. I think this UFC card will be done with. But let's be honest, this does not hold a candle to last year's Noche UFC card. But still, some fun fights sprinkled out throughout the card. I believe 13 or 14 total fights here. We even have an Ultimate Fighter finale on this card. So it is what it is. Reminder, this is the quick picks version of the Noche UFC breakdown. I dropped the MMA Lawcast earlier this week where I went over an hour talking about this entire card. So you guys, obviously, there will be some details and stuff that I leave out of this breakdown for the sake of time. If you have some questions about some of these fights still, make sure you guys check out the full card breakdown that I dropped earlier this week. And hopefully I can answer your questions there. All right. Hope you're laced up and ready to go because we're off and running with the first fight of the night between Rodrigo Sezinando and Daniil Donchenko. This is the Ultimate Fighter finale that was supposed to take place last month. An illness to one of these fighters has brought this fight to this card, and I do like the aggressive Muay Thai nature of Donchenko to shut down the grappling of Sezinando, which should eventually lead to Donchenko getting a finish in the second or third round. Next up, we got Montserrat Rendon welcoming 19-year-old Elise Pereira to the UFC. And this Pereira chick looks like she has the goods. She's still very young, still a little bit wild in my opinion, but this is the perfect matchup for her to make a dominant statement in her UFC debut, as I expect her to stave off some of the grappling of Rendon and then eventually put that power on her and then win this fight by knockout. Next up, we got Alessandro Costa going up against Alden Coria. Coria making his UFC debut here on short notice. Was the former Fury FC flyweight champion, but I think he's going to be behind it in terms of the leg kicks coming from Costa, the BJJ black belt from Costa, but also the power in which Costa throws with. I'm a little bit skeptical of the big chalky line on Costa, but I still expect him to go out there and put together a good enough body of work to win this fight on the scorecards. Next up, we got Zachary Reese going up against Cedricus Dumas. I think Reese gets back to his early finishing ways here after staving off a few of the takedowns that are going to be incoming from Dumas. And then from there, Reese should really start to dictate the pace, land his big shots, and produce another round one knockout. Next up, we got Jesus Aguilar going up against Louis Gurule. I was let down by Gurule last time around when he got knocked out by Ode Osborne, but I think that this is a very winnable matchup for him. I think the power shots from Aguilar will be easily telegraphed, and that will allow Gurule to stay away from danger, put the pressure on Aguilar, chip away at him, and win this fight on the scorecards. Next up, we got former title challengers Tatiana Suarez taking on Amanda Lemos. I think this is a horrible stylistic matchup for Lemos, and we should eventually see Suarez land those takedowns and work to a position where she can eventually incorporate a submission and force the tap from the Brazilian. Next up, we got Claudio Puelles going up against Joaquim Silva. I'm a big fan of Silva and kind of surprised that he's an underdog in this spot, as he is a fighter that's never been submitted and has a striking advantage clearly in this matchup. And I think he'll be able to fend off the takedowns from Puelles, walk Puelles down on the feet, and eventually uncork a knockout either in the second or third round. Next up, we got Jose Medina going up against Duško Todorovic. Todorovic may have some durability issues at times, but I think this is a very winnable matchup for him. I think we'll see him get to his grappling, look to control Medina from that top position, and I think it's just a matter of time before he ends up pulling off a submission. Next up, we got the UFC debut of highly touted Mexican prospect Santiago Luna going up against Kwang Lee. If you guys remember, Lee was supposed to take on David Martinez, but Martinez gets a bump up on the card and takes on Rob Font in the co-main event, and Lee welcomes Luna to the UFC. Unfortunately for Lee, this is still a very tough matchup as Luna comes from a wrestling background. I expect him to get to it pretty easily here, and even if he can't control Lee for long periods of time, I expect his power striking to do the talking, and I think that will eventually lead to Luna winning this fight on the scorecards. Next up, we got Alexander Hernandez going up against Diego Ferreira. Now, Hernandez is making a quick turnaround here, mainly because he is from the San Antonio area and did not take much damage in his last knockout win over Chase Hooper. But I think he's really up against it here against Ferreira. I think we'll see Ferreira do a good job in terms of staving off the early threat that Hernandez presents with his power and explosivity, and then really start wearing the veteran down with his pace, pressure, and grappling. Look for Ferreira to really start pulling away late and winning this fight on the scorecards. Next up, we got Kelvin Gastelum going up against Dustin Stoltzfus. Gastelum has been very inconsistent in this half of his career, but this is the type of fighter that he should go out there and still showcase that at 33 years old, he deserves to be on the UFC roster. Look for him to really do a good job with his takedown defense and really put the pressure on with the power striking. And I think that will eventually lead to a Kelvin Gastelum knockout either in the second or third round. Next up, we got Rafa Garcia going up against Jared Gordon. I'm a big fan of Flash Gordon, and I think this is a matchup where the lack of knockout threat from Rafa Garcia will allow Gordon to dictate the pace of this fight. Look for him to stay on the gas, put Garcia up against the cage, maybe land a few takedowns as well, but I expect Gordon to really stay ahead in this matchup and end up winning this fight on the scorecards. Co-main event now as Rob Font takes on David Martinez. We've seen a lot of love come in on Martinez, who was plus 180 just a few days ago, now finds himself in that plus 115 range, and I think for good reason. I think he is way closer to his prime. He's very dangerous in the striking realm, treads distance very well, utilizes a good mobile striking game, and I think he'll be able to counter the output-heavy game of Font. Don't be surprised to see Font shoot for takedowns, but I think Martinez will stuff most of those, and that will eventually lead to Martinez picking Font apart and winning this fight on the scorecards. That brings us to our headliner now between Diego Lopes and Gene Silva. I think people are starting to see that Lopes is not as good as he seemed on his way to that title shot that he ended up losing against Alexander Volkanovski earlier this year. Look for Gene Silva to dictate the pace from jump, take the center of the cage, land his big shots against Lopes, really start breaking Lopes down, fending off a few of the takedown attempts that are inevitably going to be coming back his way, and that should eventually lead to Gene Silva finding a knockout and cementing himself as one of the top contenders in this featherweight division. There you guys go. Quick picks for Noche UFC. We got a full stack of events this weekend. Contender Series just wrapped up yesterday, or at least week 5. But we have LFA on Friday. We got Octagon and Cage Warriors on Saturday. And then obviously Saturday night ending off with Noche UFC. I'll have video breakdowns for Cage Warriors and LFA on the YouTube page, so stay tuned for that. But Octagon will strictly be broken down in written form on the Lock of the Night Patreon page. Check the link in the description below for that. Otherwise, I'll see you guys again tomorrow for the, what am I doing tomorrow? Free parlay for you guys, as well as the LFA Legacy Warriors podcast, breaking down that card for you guys. See you guys then. Peace.